Okay. Welcome to the February Environmental Advisory Council meeting. First order of business, always one of my favorites, approval of last month's meeting minutes. They were sent out last Saturday. Can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve. I read them and they seem fine to me.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is everybody in favor? Four?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. All right.
Is
They're
Kevin
approved.
voting?
he did. He did the first time. He put his hand up.
All right. Well, I'll send them on to the township tomorrow. Okay, next is the approval of the end of year review for 2021. I believe that was sent out in early December. And we were holding back on approving it till it was in the next year, and we're now in the next year, so. Can I have a motion to approve the year in review for 2021?
I make a motion.
Okay, second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, passed 4-0, so that one's done. Next are the tree ordinances. We have two. We have the proposed landscaping and tree-related ordinance changes, which is, I guess, what is it, brush, weeds, and something else?
Brush, grass, and weeds.
Grass and weeds, yeah. Chapter 84, that's one. And the other one is the invasive species ordinance, allowing 10% non-native trees and bushes at
That's
sites.
actually the landscape and open lands.
Okay, well, you know better, so,
Yeah, I'm looking at it. That's the only
okay.
reason.
So I would have one comment on the chapter 84, brush, grass, and weeds. I still think you need to define the plan, what is it called? The natural landscaping plan. And I'm reading this, I'm confused on whether it applies to any area that's not, lawn or, formal landscaping or pervious pavement. Does it apply to anything that's woods or wild?
No, so my discussion with Jim Majewski was this applies to lawn. So if someone wants to turn their lawn into a managed natural landscape.
So it'd be when it's converted from
Yes,
lawn.
when it's converted, it would be managed natural landscape.
Okay, well, yeah, well, you should put that in there. It's
Okay.
not obvious reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, Alan, I had a little addition there too. And I think I sent it out to everybody under managed natural landscape. Now, of course, these are dealing with homeowners and they have the right to plant non-natives if they wish. I think some wording in there would be helpful. What I suggested is because of their significant environmental benefits, the use of native plants is recommended. I don't think that's draconian at all. It just says that, it's a nice idea to use natives if they so wish.
Mhm.
And I like the idea too of this managed natural landscape. This is a topic that's been hot in environmental circles all over the country. And from an environmental viewpoint, grass is essentially green asphalt. It does basically nothing. But, I have a house with grass and I'm certainly not going to get rid of all my grass. But I think we have to allow provisions for people who want to minimize, their lawn. Over the years, what we've done here is we added a lot more flower beds and things like that. But I heartily approve of having some verbiage in here because it sets up some guidelines that I think are really important to people. And I think the native plant trend is not going to go away because of climate change and a lot of other issues. If anything, it's gathering a lot of headway now across the country. So I think we have to, make it clear to people, what they're allowed to do. So.
Suzanne, when is this going to the supervisors? You have to advertise it and then vote on it.
Oh, I mean, no one's seen it but you guys.
Okay,
right?
so it's a long way. So.
Yeah. And, way outside my scope, but like there's obviously a balance, which I think Jim is trying to strike now, right? We can encourage, we should encourage, but then the flip side is not everybody in Lower Makefield is going to be excited if they live next door to somebody who naturalizes, right? We have rules about how high your grass can be.
Mhm.
If you chose to have a whole natural front lawn, would those concepts still apply or no?
Yeah.
No, so there is somebody on Edgewood that has converted their lawn.
But not the front, not the whole
The front.
lawn. Like
It's the
they mow
majority.
they mow
mow-
the first.
I think they mow the first, like maybe, I don't know, I guess the first 20 feet of it, I guess.
Right.
And then the rest
And-
of it's naturalized.
Yep.
And
And just to be clear, right? I don't know that person. I don't know where they live. The township does not drive around looking for people violating ordinances. If
no,
somebody
from what
calls,
I talked to Jim about this. The township knows about this property. And from what I can guess, because again, I haven't walked on their property and measured their grasses, I'm assuming they're like 12 inches, maybe 18 inches tall. So maybe there needs to be height restrictions for the naturalized areas also then.
Separate ones, yeah, different, not 10 inches.
No, I'm not sure that you need a height restriction for the naturalized, plans, because the naturalized managed plans themselves pretty much stipulate, what you can do and what you can't do. As far as height restrictions, though, I certainly agree with them. I mean, I'm a native plant guy, but I don't want my neighbor letting his lawn go for the next year or so. But there's already verbiage in there to prevent that from happening. And I think the managed landscapes really address that question.
So they should be exempt from the 10-inch limitation on lawns.
Well, it's not a question of them being exempt per se. It depends upon, what they're growing. The plan has to be approved, the natural plan.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's going to approve a natural plan if they just say, hey, I'm letting my grass grow for the next 2 years and I'm not going to cut it.
No, and when I talked to Jim about it, he said that specific property, the first year or two, they went back and forth with the township because there were weeds in there were some invasives, and they were told that they had to control specific species. So this was definitely under the guidance of the township to get to where it is. And like I said, I haven't walked their property, just driving past it. It looks like they're just native grasses up there.
Yeah, and I think that would certainly be appropriate. I think one of the main reasons that we have this height restriction is that we have a house kind of diagonally across from us. And the people who owned it, went belly up. And for about a year or two, nobody was in the house. And it was a constant battle because no one was really maintaining the place. And, the township sometimes has trouble finding out who to, find to make sure that happens. But I think it's also applies, and in many cases, to properties that have just been neglected for one reason or another.
Yeah. All right. We ready to move on?
Well, no, I have another question. Suzanne, I think, didn't you say, or somebody said that these ordinances are now in front of the Planning Commission, or they will be very shortly?
I have to take a call. My daughter's school is calling.
So not this one, but the other one is in front of the Planning Commission, the one regarding the 10% non-natives.
When is that
Okay.
going to happen?
I have no idea.
Well, it's got to happen before the 16th because I thought the supervisors were going to vote on the 16th on the 10%. That's what I've heard.
Does anybody know when the planning commission is?
Actually, I might. Let me check here. There's a planning commission on February 7th, so it's probably that day.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, they'll look at it, and then it'll go to the supervisors on the 16th, and there'll be the vote on the 16th. So,
Okay, and so also, what about, my addition here? I mean, is this,
So I sent I sent him some comments. I'm gonna send him another one after today's meeting with your addition and with the comments that we're talking about now. That's all
okay,
I-
yeah,
that's
better-
perfect.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to vote on this. This is gonna have to go through another iteration, and we're gonna
yeah.
eventually have to look at a clean copy because all these track changes are gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, we got track changes in about 3 different colors now.
Yeah, each person does track changes. It gives it a different color.
Yeah, but that's really cool the way that happens, because when you get it, then you can make some sense out of what we're sending you.
yeah.
All right, I guess we're ready to move on then, right?
Okay, yeah, we need to vote on sending out the tree planting 2002 location recommendations. That was sent out, I guess I sent it out again couple days ago, where we moved the Reagan track an alternate site and moved King's Kingdom up to one of the primary sites for the township planning. So if we vote
You
to
get
approve, what?
Did you get the 44 trees? in
Yeah,
it?
I got that in there. It's in
Yeah,
there
okay.
now. So why don't we vote to send this out, and I'll send it out tomorrow to the supervisors, because 2022 is rapidly slipping away, and we want to get this out before too much longer.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to remember now, in some of these locations where we're having outsiders perform all this work, we have a bidding limitation. If the cost exceeds X number of dollars
10,000.
for bids, correct?
10,000? Okay.
It's 10,000. All right. Well, we're probably, I'm sure, going to go over that. So I'm not sure, what that's going to entail, but we'll worry about that, when the time comes. But
Yeah,
Well, so the plants are one invoice, and then the planting is a separate invoice.
Oh.
And each planting is its own invoice.
okay.
that helps.
So, yeah, that's how we ended up getting Revere and Twig Lane done in the same year. They were 2 separate planting
Right.
invoices, but they were also 2 separate, when we ordered from Fernbrook, they were 2 separate plant invoices.
hmm
Okay, but if we order, let's say, 44 maple trees, they're going to be about 300. Well, if we want a warranty, I assume we want probably a deer protector on them. And
Deer protection has to do with the planting, doesn't have to do with Fernbrook.
okay, so the planting itself, yeah, so they differentiate. So the tree might be, let's say, $150.
I'll
So
let you know in a minute what we paid if this opens.
and then the other 150 to plant it, warranty it, and put up a deer protective fence or column around the tree.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So the red maples at Fernbrook were $230 a piece.
okay, that's unplanted.
That's unplanted. That's strictly plant material.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that should.
So that's $9,200.
Pardon?
That's $9,200. Now that's 2021 prices. I don't know if they're going to go up in 2022.
All right.
That's what we paid at the end of
Yeah.
2020.
All right. I'm going to be talking to Fernbrook pretty soon anyway, because it's not on the agenda tonight, but that Compass Arboretum requires 3 replacement trees. So I'm going to be talking to Kevin to see if they're available. And when I ask him that, I can ask him, for what that price is for the maples as well. But I'm all in favor of sending this to the supervisors. Alan and Linda and myself have been vetting this, and it's essentially the same as before, but, you know, we just kind of numbered a couple of things just to make it more clear.
Right. So all in favor of sending this awesome letter to the supervisors?
Aye.
I guess we should have a second, but everybody's in favor.
Aye.
So Suzanne, you got something to look forward to tomorrow.
Oh, I love a good read.
Okay. So we'll be sending that out. Okay,
I'm
moving right
sorry, I know Jim
along.
was asking me something when I got that call, so are we good with whatever you were asking?
I don't know.
That was so long ago,
Okay,
Suzanne.
keep moving on.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
I recommend no one send their kids to school on the West Coast. Moving on.
What?
Don't send your kids to school on the West Coast. Moving on.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, I won't. All
I
right.
always said that children are expensive, and when they're younger, they make a lot of noise. But I ended up having 3 of them.
All right. Item 5, land use plans. We only have one active submittal right now, and that's the 1566 Llc Subdivision. And for those of you who haven't looked into it, it's a 21-acre site near the corner of Creamery Road and Newtown Yardley Road. Currently, it has 3 houses on it, and with the subdivision, 2 of the existing houses are going to be taken down, and 6 new houses are going to be built. One of the existing houses is going to remain, and that's the big house who happens to be the owner of the property and the developer that's near the ponds, kind of on the east side of the property. So unfortunately, the site has a lot of natural resource land, a lot of woods, a lot of steep slopes. It's got a wetlands running through the middle of it with the associated buffer, wetlands buffer. So we're going to have a few comments on it. And I sent out a draft of the comments, I think last Saturday. And do you want me to go through the comments, or I guess we don't have a whole lot of time, so maybe we should.
Well, I've read them, Alan. I don't know if anybody else
Okay.
has. But,
Oh, I read them.
yeah, it would take, I think, too long, and we have limited.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I won't go through them. I will say that I added one about front or backyard setbacks because I don't think they meet the requirement in our ordinances. And the easement one I changed a little because I have to do some more research on how easements are established. Because they want to establish a new easement for their sewer line to run through the wetlands buffer and the wetlands. 2 of them actually, to go to a couple of the new house, or from 2 of the new houses to the sewer line. So I'm going to look into that more. So I'm probably, and I want to do a site visit, which I'll probably do in a week or so. So I'll probably not send this out till maybe February 13th. And I talked to Jim Majewski, and he's okay with that. Because I think this thing has some issues, and it's not ready for going before the supervisors yet, or the planning commission. So that's the plan.
All right, when you're here, Alan, well, of course, we'll know when you get here, and you know, I'll go over there with you. Just on that land development, though, do you have a rough feel for the number of houses that should be properly placed there? I mean, he's asking for 6. That sounds pretty excessive.
Well, it's 21 acres, so there's a lot of property. It's mostly restricted by all the natural resource land. You know, you can only take out so much of the woods and steep slopes you can develop on. I don't know what the capacity would be if they built full out, but I think they're close to it, just the way they are now.
All right.
So, yeah, and before I send it out to Jim Majewski, I'll send it to everybody one more time to look at if I make any big changes to it other than typos and things. Okay?
All right, sounds good. Thanks,
Yeah,
Alan.
so, yeah, that's the plan on this one. All right, now the always popular recycling. I guess we had some issues with the collection on the 8th of January. We had a lot of styrofoam that we had to store.
Well, the issues we had were, I think the collection was too successful. There was a lot more than we really thought was going to happen. And we were pressed to know what to do with it. So, I think we have to certainly, make some changes.
Yeah, we're going to rethink this. And I don't think Mark wants to deal with it anymore, Exact Solar. So the alternate would be for us to rent a truck, maybe a 14-foot U-Haul truck, and just throw it all in the back there. And right now we have two places we can take it, either Princeton Molding, where we've been taking it all along, or Ray Bob Packaging, I think it's called. And that's in Bristol. Now, the advantages of Princeton Molding is that we could, once we fill up that truck, I'll drive the truck. I'll drive it up to Somerset, where Princeton Molding is, and they'll take it, that day. The advantage of that, we don't have the truck one day, and the disadvantage would be there'd be a lot of mileage. It's 47 miles to the Princeton Molding place. So we'd have to pay more for that. And we'd have to put it in bags once again for Princeton Molding. But with Ray Bob, we'd also have to put it in bags. They'll supply some of the bags, though. I talked to them. They're closer. That's an advantage. Unfortunately, they're not open on the weekends, so we would have to park the truck in the township parking lot for 3 days till Monday morning. Is that okay, Suzanne?
I'm sure it would be. I don't get to do that, but I'm sure it would be. I'll confirm that.
I think there's some issues with that, and they revolve around cost. If we have to rent that for 3 more days and it's just sitting there, the cost might start to be prohibitive.
I looked at that. It's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of another, because the rental for the truck is it's not much. It's like $30 a day, but you got to pay mileage of what is it here? $1.30 a mile or something. So it would end up roughly even. So it would end up costing the EAC about $200, I think, to rent this truck.
All right. Well, I don't think that's a lot of money for the service that we're actually performing for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Giving this some thought too, and maybe you're right about the place in Bristol because it is closer. But my feeling is the way this can be done is we talk to Monica Tierney and we get maybe 9 volunteers for the day.
Yes.
And what I'm assuming could happen is that as soon as a truck or car pulls up, we have one of the crew, 3 to a bag. They go right over, 2 hold the bag, 1 stuffs the styrofoam in it. When it's filled, they tie it, throw it in the truck. So if we have like 9, I think, youths or whoever,
9 Carlies. You need 9 Carlies.
Pardon?
Carly, our volunteer.
Carlies, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well.
Need to clone her.
You want to be a bag holder, Susan? Is that, Suzanne, is that what it is?
Back to Susan.
Anyway, I was on a roll. But anyway, these bags are expensive, though. You can't go with just like a 44-gallon garbage can bag. We need the ones that Mark actually supplied to us.
Yeah.
And they were.
Well, no, wait, I thought Ray Bob needed clear bags.
Ray Bob will provide some. I don't know if they'll provide enough, but he said he has some, just from previous collections. So I'll scope that out. And if we need to buy some more, we'll have to. Hopefully they don't cost too much. I mean, 10, 15.
We can certainly, check into that too, but I think.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
We encourage people to bring it in bags? Like, should we say to people, bring it in?
Right. I think that's what we should do. And
okay. We could put that in the flyer.
Yeah. Right, Alan? You could add that to the flyer.
Yeah. Yep. My artistic abilities, no ends.
Yeah.
Well,
we could put that in.
That may or may not be advantageous, because then we're going to end up with maybe 50 bags of all different sizes and shapes. The nice thing about those large bags that were supplied by Exact Solar is you could stuff a lot of stuff in those.
Well, yeah, I'll try to find out whether these places will take smaller bags or they just will only take the bigger bags. And then we can go
Okay.
from there.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I guess find out what, I thought I read one of the emails, Ray Bob's only it accepts the clear plastic bags.
They want it in clear plastic bags, right?
Yeah.
So they have some of those, and if we bought some more, we'd have to buy the clear ones, not the black ones like Mark was getting. But I assume that's not a big issue. I don't know.
Home Depot sells a box of 40 for $24.
Of the big ones?
55 gallon.
Now, 55 gallons is nowhere near enough. You need something almost close to 100.
Oh, that's the big one.
Okay.
Alan,
Yeah.
when you talk to any of those, either, Princeton Molding or Ray Bob, can you find out what they're going to do with those bags afterwards? Because if they're going to put them in the, in the trash, then we're not doing such a,
Right.
no.
Well, I'll ask them when I ask them what kind of bags they'll take, if they only take big ones or all types. I'll ask them what they do with them, because they have a bunch of bags laying around. I'll just go over there and pick them up. Like I know Ray Bob does, and maybe Princeton Molding does.
Yeah, and we could get them, we could use them every time, we could
Right.
get back from them.
Well, yeah, we'd have to come back a week later and get them from the place, because they store the styrofoam in these bags till they need it, and then they bring it out.
Right,
'Cause they
right,
don't like it loose because it's so messy.
right.
Or I guess find out where they get the bags. I can't
Yeah.
find anything bigger than a 55 gallon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming we won't have this collection till May, so we do have some time to figure this out. All right, Kevin, you had something about the batteries. You were able to get rid of them, most of them?
Yes, I was able to get rid of the batteries at a store that I had to coordinate the effort with them because I had such a large quantity. But they accept up to 9-volt batteries, the rechargeable and the non-rechargeable types. So we'll continue to collect them, and now that I'm in communication with the store about this, we're trying to get a better arrangement for a larger quantity.
Yeah. They weren't overwhelmed?
They would have been if I tried to take it all at once. So I made a couple trips.
Yeah.
So Kevin, they took every one of the batteries that we got?
There was a couple odd batteries that were like, battery chargers that had built-in that were broken, and then like battery operated toothbrushes with built-in batteries that they wouldn't take. But all the like loose batteries they took, like the 6-volt lantern batteries, the small watch batteries, 1.5 volt, 1.2 volt, 9 volt, all of those things.
Okay, and that was at Mom's? Was that where you took them?
Yeah, the closest location they have is in Abington.
Right.
And I go there anyway, so I just brought them with me.
Right.
Good. Okay, so we can collect batteries in May.
Yes.
One of the things. All right, that's good. So yeah, we'll be talking about this in our subsequent meetings, how we're going to do this. And I'll try to find out some of this information. The other recycling topic was our little subcommittee, Gene and myself and Jonah have been talking with Monica at Park and Rec about improving recycling at the parks and how to do that. We had I think January 10th and January 19th Zoom calls, and Monica's coming up with a plan. It's just called the recycling plan. It's for the parks, and she will be attending our next meeting in March to discuss it and see what we think about it and any edits and all that. So then you should put her on the agenda.
Mhm.
And hopefully we'll have the latest version of this recycling plan. There's going to be a webinar that one of the companies that makes recycling containers, Bush containers, and it's gone February 15th, I believe, Jean, right?
Right.
It's about how to improve recycling in parks. So Monica and Jean and I are all going to watch that, and hopefully we'll come up with some good ideas. And let's see, Jean, you're making a list, I hear, a
And
recycling list of what can be recycled in the township?
yes,
Yes?
for the trash haulers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you're going to contact, we're going to come up with a
Yeah,
list of what we think should be recycled, and we're going to run it by the trash haulers and get their buy off on, yes, we recycle this and whatever, and come up with a list of what you can recycle and get the word out there to the township residents.
Yeah, there's no consistency among the 4 trash haulers in terms of what they do or don't recycle. I mean, it's all I think it needs to be much better, much more consistent. And so I'm going to try to do some work on that, although it's kind of tough because you can't really find anybody to give you any good information, but I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, you need persistence.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to either Steve or Perry? Right, because it's really, a lot of this is state mandated, and maybe they could give you like a starting point. This is what we expect, and then we could cross match it against the different haulers.
Yes, that's a good idea. I was wondering there's nobody in the township that has any contact with the trash haulers, right? Is it?
Well, I mean, we don't have a relationship with them other than, they're licensed, I guess, or, registered with us, and then we're all homeowners. So we all, pay.
Right, yeah.
But I think this is something that really, not that we shouldn't do it as a township, we should, but since it's so much bigger than us, getting the help from the people like Steve or Perry might be the better road to go.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones who are experiencing this, right? We're,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
One of the problems, though, that we've had over the years with this is that the state mandates various laws, but a lot of non-observance going on. No one essentially from the state comes down and starts checking what the individual haulers are doing. So this is a whole other issue that we have.
Yeah, we have some items in our ordinance, but it needs to be updated, and that's maybe one of the things we'll eventually get to, is put in all the items that should be recycled. Because right now, I actually modified the ordinance back in 2008, and it's changed quite a bit since then. So that's one thing we should do. And Suzanne, each of these haulers report to the township every year on how much the tonnage that they received of recycling material from residents and businesses. So the township gets a little bit of information from the haulers, and then the township uses that for their 904 grant application. They get a certain amount of money for every ton that the township recycles. So it's to the township's financial advantage to recycle a lot. Last year, it was, I think, $106,000 we got from the 904 grant, $106,000. So it's not nothing.
Yeah, no, I follow all that, but I thought what Jeannie was trying to understand was how much glass, what type of plastic, et cetera, and I'm sure you know better than I am. We don't get that kind of breakdown. We don't get
you just get the general information, right? Yeah, it'd be great if we could come up with a list, because it's sure not out there right now.
there's nothing that you can look at that makes you feel that, you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing, because Suzanne, Monica mentioned that the township is paying $25 for every contaminant that goes in with recycling.
That's collected from the township, like the parks. I find that hard to believe, but.
I thought what she said, not that each, but like when something gums up the work, you know what I mean? So like if you put bags that you shouldn't have any recycles and they don't make it to the recycle stream, I don't think anyone gets fined. But if they gum up the machine or whatever, then there's a fine. I thought that's what she said, Jean.
No.
But, we're way outside my knowledge base at this point.
I thought what I remember her saying is that there's actually a camera on the back of the truck. And if that something that's not supposed to be going into recycling goes, that they charge $25 for that item.
I mean, it seems like
Jonah, do you remember?
Are you talking about the truck? I mean, what the township itself recycles as opposed to what homeowners? You don't think that there's
yeah, I think she was talking about the township. But I can't believe we're getting nailed $25 for every time something's in the recycling container that shouldn't be. I mean,
I suspect that it catches large items, but not necessarily small items. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just, so if it's just the township, it would have to be just the park, right? Or
no, that we have there's a recycle bin at the township because we had to use it the other day for some of the stuff that, people gave us that wasn't being collected.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not residential.
I don't think that the township's getting fined every time a resident puts something in that shouldn't be put in.
Yeah.
Are we having a pizza box conversation? Is that where we're going?
What?
I feel like we're getting to the pizza box conversation.
Oh.
Pizza boxes.
Yeah.
There.
One of the things that there's a lot of confusion about, I don't know. But so, anyway, we'll work on that.
So that's what we're working with. Monica, did you want to add anything, Jonah? You're part of our group.
Because I'm in a noisy environment, I'm going to try to be very judicious about what I can actually share this evening. I am affirming everything that I've heard so far, though.
Okay. All right. So the next item is the plastic bag reduction. Do you want to try that, Jonah?
Yes, I will try to hear. Can folks hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I'm going to do a share screen. And Supervisor Blendy, I believe that you're the only one here to whom I have not yet sent the document that I'm going to screen share, but I will send to you and to the whole EAC for review the document that I'm about to screen share. So I did receive some permission, or not some, but I received permission to be able to do some surveying at McCaffrey's. I did this on January 14th, on January 25th, Tuesday morning, 2 Tuesdays ago. And my intention was to ask customers about the practices of using single-use versus reusable bags to carry home their goods. That was exactly what I intended to do. And after a while of realizing that nobody had 30 seconds to answer a question, especially in the snow, especially in the busyness of life, I opted out of doing the survey as I had initially planned, and I substituted this with sitting in my car and knowing that this is an establishment that I support anyway, sitting, watching for 20 minutes and observing, are folks coming out with single-use plastic bags? Or are they coming out with a combination of some single-use plastic bags and some paper bags and maybe some reusable bags? Are they coming out with merely recyclable paper? Or are they coming out with reusable cloth bags? So I did this at McCaffrey's, I did this at Giant, I did this at ShopRite, all on the same day. And it is difficult to know just how conclusive we can really be with these sorts of results, because these are only reflections of 20-minute spans of a specific day with specific weather, with specific people. You know, there's a whole lot of variables that can be considered. But if we were to distinguish between single-use plastic bags and some combination of single-use plastic bags with various other things, and call that category ranging between unsustainable and maybe a little bit less unsustainable. And then if we were to talk about recyclable paper bags in conjunction with reusable cloth, we are talking about a bit more of a sustainable bagging practice. So the results would point to McCaffrey's having perhaps the most sustainable bagging practices by percentage of just what I observed. Again, there's many variables, so I can't say that McCaffrey shoppers are more EAC approved than anyone else. I approve of everyone who's shopping in LMT. It's good for our economy. But what we did find when I start to average out how are the single-use plastic bags versus reusable, how sustainable bagging versus unsustainable bagging shaking out as far as the whole township might go, we are looking at somewhere around 30% of our LMT shoppers are practicing sustainable bagging practices, and perhaps about 70% practicing unsustainable bagging practices. Again, I will send this entire document later, but given the estimated 30% of shoppers in Lower Makefield who are opting to bag sustainably, we do know that there is some ecological consciousness among those who are shopping in LMT, which is a nice thing, but it's not majoritarian. 30% is really the minority. We know that there is a big plastics crisis that requires a much higher proportion of shoppers in order to bag sustainably in Lower Makefield. So one thing that I often think about is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which just some fun images of what this looks like. I'll stop this particular share and I will just share a quick image of what we're talking about when we're talking about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This is twice the size of Texas that is occupying the Pacific Ocean, and it is really poisoning waters. It is causing all sorts of toxic waste to affect also just the water that we eventually drink, especially for those who are on the West Coast. Back to Supervisor Blundy's point of don't send to the West Coast. But I think that we, as a township, I've heard previously this question of, is this something that we should ask the county to take on or the state to take on? And I will share for the purposes of full thorough reporting that when I did speak with a representative from ShopRite, they did tell me that actually they don't want a municipal plastic bag fee to be instituted, because they would find that if something were instituted on a municipal level, then other municipalities would benefit more from shoppers who don't want to pay the 5-cent, 10-cent fee, whatever that fee might be. But I have encountered, we do know that the way things are currently anyway, it seems that the legislation that has been proposed by State Senator Steve Santarciero, I think that it's sort of stalled in a Republican majority state Senate, and I believe that we can't expect any reductions on plastic bags, single-use plastic bags, to be taking place at the state level. At the county level, I encountered some resistance there, but I can try again because, quite frankly, the same representative from ShopRite said that they actually really like the plastic bag fines that are being instituted in New Jersey, because if it's throughout the entire state or if it's in an entire region, that doesn't create a competition problem. So, quite frankly, I nonetheless feel that we have an obligation to do the thing that will be most sustainable for our planet and for our township, even if the problems that we're looking at are so far, these eyesores that are so far out of sight from us. And I recommend that the EAC advise the Board of Supervisors to pass an ordinance such as that we've drafted and looked at before, the prohibitions and fines on use of certain bags, polystyrene, foam, food service products, and single-use plastic straws in the Township of Lower Makefield, which I last presented, I believe, at our December meeting. I think that regardless, the point of what we need to do if we want to solve this plastics crisis, here we can enact a fee to be paid for usage of single-use plastic bags in stores across the municipality, and we should encourage businesses across the municipality to offer rebates for customers who bag entirely in reusable bags. The latter may be simpler to do through not necessarily an ordinance and something that is per se legislated, but something that is a resolution that is resolved, that is encouraged. All that being said, I recognize that the time is 7 o'clock, which is often when these meetings do have to end. So I want to pause in case there's further follow-up to respond to what I presented.
Suzanne, do you have any idea if the supervisors have an appetite to institute a fee for plastic bags in the township? Because to do this, it's going to be a lot of work. Joni, you're not nearly done yet. Do you have
I've never talked to them about it, but Jonah, I would tell you that I'll only speak for me, I kind of am with the mindset like it can't be different in Lower Makefield. It's got to be Bucks, it's got to be Pennsylvania, and I'm all for doing all we can. You know, we did it once 2 years ago, but maybe it's time to look for more opportunities to get and give. Like, Gina, you still have any of those bags in your garage? Like,
Oh, yeah, we do have them. Where are they? At the up at the building, I think.
Yeah, I think they're up in the
like,
township.
what can we do to encourage people? But I think that it's an appropriate, everyone can ask the other supervisors on this one, and maybe I need to learn more.
Yeah, because I don't want to make all this effort if there's no chance.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought the county would be more, if just something like this. And, I agree with Suzanne. I think that's certainly the way to go, because then there's no choice in the matter. You're not worried about somebody going, to the next township and saving $1 or whatever they want to do. But, it's a, well, anyway.
We could write up a recommendation letter to the counties, send it to the commissioners, and then the Bucks County Planning Commission also.
Actually, that's an excellent idea. I know some people in the Planning Commission, and I know one or two of the supervisors as well. And I think they would be the two supervisors that I know, or county commissioners, I think would be receptive to something like this. So, Jonah, perhaps you would want to prepare some kind of a letter and maybe have it for the next meeting, and then or send it out to us before the meeting so we can add some thoughts to it. But I think this is the way to go, because I think trying to apply local rules is going to be basically like hitting your head against the wall. I don't think it's going to work. But I think on a basis, it certainly, could work.
Sure. So just to summarize, go ahead. Sorry, Alan. I think you may have just frozen. Alan, can you try again?
What you want? What was I going to say? Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So I think that so just to summarize, the next step that we're advising is that I draft a letter that we can present on behalf of the Lower Makefield EAC to the county commissioners.
No, we would send it to the supervisors and try to get the supervisors to send it to the county commissioners. That would be more forceful.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a lot more clout than coming from the EAC.
Holy
Sure. Okay, great. So I will be very happy to draft that, and I can work on that next week and send
Yeah.
out something then.
And what I was going to say is you could put in some of your survey, a brief description of the survey you did and say, this is obviously an issue in our municipality and it's probably an issue throughout Bucks County and we should do something about it.
Sure.
So, yeah, your survey work can, come into play. Just, maybe half a page or whatever.
Here's a
And
question.
I think a little verbiage about, that waste area in the Pacific, you don't have to, certainly write a treatise on that, but just maybe a paragraph about that might be helpful as well, Jonah.
Sure, I could include that. One question, I've been in touch with a few other members of a few AACs throughout the county because I was initially wondering maybe could there be multiple municipalities acting on this in unison, but I think that's very complicated to make happen for a variety of reasons. Don't have to get into now, you can all imagine that. But with this, I think that there are survey results from Buckingham and from Plumstead that I could ask those EACs if they might be able to share what are the bagging practices and attitudes like in their respective municipalities. Would that be helpful data for this?
Sure. And then if we do eventually send it on to the county or supervisors do, we could share that with the other EACs and try to inspire them to try to do the same with their supervisors.
Great. Just a quick question. What is the recommended length for a letter to the supervisors? I imagine shorter is better, but I am very happy to hear any recommendations.
Well, no, the letter would be from the supervisors to the county.
You're drafting a letter, sorry, Alan, like in our names and saying, board, would you consider sending this?
I see. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So this would be a letter that I am drafting for the EAC to review, to have the supervisors consider to have their names attached to
Right.
send to the commissioners.
Right.
Okay, great.
And Jonah, short is always, you have to
Sure.
elucidate your points, but the shorter, the better.
Sure. Great. Thanks so much.
All right, we're after 5, but we'll keep going until they cut us off. Number 8, Paul or Sumya, neither are here, so we'll move on to 9, which is the Environmental Stewardship Award, and that happened last night. All right, Jim.
That ceremony went off very well. I mean, Suzanne was there, of course, and I think she'll agree that Kona composting was well deserving of the award. Heather was there. There was also a representative from Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve to accept the $1,000 check. It was a nice occasion. And, I kind of look forward to that because to me, that's one of the highlights of the year. But again, Heather Wadisi was very, very pleased with the award. And I think, we made a very good selection this year.
Okay.
Whoever found Kona composting and brought it to the attention of the EAC,
It's a saint.
get a pat on the back. One day.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know who that person was, but
Yeah, if we only knew.
I suspect maybe it was Suzanne, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yep, it was.
Do you want me
Okay,
to jump in for a second, Alan? You got more?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have all that much. I did want you may have noticed, but you should continue to notice, because by the end of this month, knocking wood, the greenhouses will be down from Bright Farms.
Yay.
So they are under contract to remove them. We are working with them and monitoring the progress to get the land returned to the state that it was, as best as can be done. So that's a positive, and hopefully it'll be, totally gone. You won't even be able to see it, hopefully by spring.
Yeah, well, corn growing there.
What was there before they moved in?
Corn. It
Huh?
was
Yeah,
fields.
whatever crop
Cornfield.
the stewards, I guess it was most of the time, was farming was there.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And then the other thing, which, has nothing to do with us per se, but save the date for May 26th, because we are going to have our first blood drive in Lower Makefield Township building. So
Oh,
stay healthy, drink up,
Fun.
and sign up.
Is it the township building?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Mark that down.
If you're talking, Linda, we just see your lips moving.
Oh, sorry, what was the date?
May 26th?
Maybe we have our styrofoam collection the same date and give blood and styrofoam.
Well, then I was like, wait a minute.
There may be some medical condition where you can do both at the same time.
Yeah. All right, moving on to 10. It's that letter I've had drafted for a couple months now. Suggestions on where the sewer system sale money could be spent in environmentally beneficial ways. The PUC approved the sale a couple weeks ago, and now I guess there's just this 537 document that has to be approved. And Suzanne, that'll be approved later this month, I believe.
I believe you're correct.
Right, so if anybody has any ideas, let me know, because this is our chance. We have 4 things right now: preservation of open space, solar panels for the township building, basin naturalization, and recycling containers for LMT's parks. And Kevin, if you have any ideas, I know you're the energy guy.
Yeah,
Let me
I
know.
mentioned at one point when it's time to replace township vehicles to consider EVs and charging stations.
Okay, we could, start buying EV vehicles to replace the current gasoline-powered vehicles when they need to be replaced.
Alan, solar has always been a pet
I got a
project
signal
of
from
mine.
Jim to wrap it up.
Oh,
Alan, I
What?
got a signal to wrap it up.
Oh,
The
okay.
next meeting is, it's a Parks and Rec meeting, and they're expecting the room to be very full, so.
The next meeting, oh,
Right
yeah,
now,
there's a
we're-
Park and Rec meeting right after this, if anybody wants to watch,
But
the
we're
community
overtime. is what they're
survey.
doing.
which hopefully isn't being hijacked by YMS soccer. So hope for the best. All right, so I'm going to make some changes to our website. I sent everybody that document, so I'm going to send that to the township. Anybody has problems with that? And do we know when the March meeting is?
I haven't gotten an email with dates yet.
Okay, so I guess we'll see everybody in March, one of the days in March. So I don't know, do we have to have a motion to end the meeting?
Motion to end meeting.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right, before they cut us off. All right, nice seeing
Hi,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
See you next month.